All right, we got a highlight video here for this edition of ATS Radio, taking a look at another Big 10 game or Big 12 game, excuse me, on the board here between Oklahoma and Iowa State, game 123-124. Oklahoma off of that disappointing loss last week to Kansas State, a game that we addressed earlier on in the show where Oklahoma was -4 in turnover margin. Kansas State had a bunch of short field scores in the fourth quarter. They only had 10 first downs, but scored 38 points in that matchup. Iowa State, interesting game last week against TCU. Very interesting game that they lost to Louisiana earlier on in the year. What are you thinking about this one here between Oklahoma and Iowa State?
I went into this game wanting to take wanting to take Iowa State here against Oklahoma, but I can't take Iowa State with what the line is now. I mean, this seems like an overreaction to Oklahoma losing last week. If Oklahoma had won last week, what's this line going to be? Oklahoma's going to be what, -12, -13, something like that. I would have wanted to take the points with Iowa State in that situation. Now, as I look at this game, I probably lean to the under in this one. Iowa State burnt me last week, I'll say right from the beginning. But Iowa State was playing so slow last week. I was looking at the stats here. Last night, Iowa State took 36.2 seconds between plays on average last week against TCU. The game still, gets to 70 some points and goes right over the total. I still think Iowa State's defense is one of the best in the Big 12. They didn't show it last week, really. Brock Purdy was really good last week, except for that backwards interception touchdown pass he threw. What a ridiculous play that was. But didn't take a sack, throws it backwards to the defense, and they run it right in for a touchdown. I think that Matt Campbell's been really good as a underdog in the past, and I'm trying to look here as we talk briefly to see what Matt Campbell's exact record is as an underdog. Campbell's 26-12 against the spread as an underdog. So, do I want to go against him? I really don't. He's 26-12 as an underdog, +3 or bigger. And overall, Matt Campbell as an underdog, 32-16. So Matt Campbell's been really good in the underdog role. I don't want to go against that. I also can't take them +6.5 at the current number. This one has been bet down pretty hard. I'm kind of surprised. What do you make this one in your PRs?
Yeah, I've got this game 10, so I am surprised to see this one moving away from my number. And I agree. I think it's an overreaction, especially because, we start talking about the transitive property of college football. What do we last remember about Kansas State? They lost to Arkansas State at home, an Arkansas State team missing, 9 starters when they went up to Manhattan? And then now Kansas State goes and beats Oklahoma. And a lot of people are going to look at that and say, man, Oklahoma's probably not very good. Maybe Spencer Rattler's not the guy. Maybe Lincoln Riley is kind of losing some of his edge, stuff like that. I will go against the line move here in this game. Now that it's under a touchdown, I like Oklahoma in this spot. They didn't deserve to lose that game last week. They were -4 in turnover margin. Kansas State had 1 third down conversion. Oklahoma's only allowed 2 on 22 attempts in their 2 games here so far. So they've had some issues on first and second down, and that was kind of their issue last year too. But they were -4 in turnover margin. They shouldn't have lost that game. There's no doubt about it that they shouldn't have lost that game. Cover that spread? No, they weren't going to cover 4 touchdowns no matter what. But they shouldn't have lost that game. And if they get away with a win there, this number, as you said, probably 11.5 or 12. I even made some adjustments and made it 10. I think this is a good spot for Oklahoma to bounce back. I think there are some questions about Brock Purdy. And I think Spencer Rattler is a young kid. I think that Lincoln Riley will improve with him as this season goes along. And maybe Iowa State's defense isn't as good this year as it's been the last couple of years, as evidenced by their first 2 data points here. I think this is an overreaction to Oklahoma's performance. I think this is an overreaction to those stats you mentioned about Campbell as an underdog against the spread. I like Oklahoma here, and at 6.5, they're worth a play.
Yeah, I'm going to pass on Oklahoma here, so I'll root for you, but I can't take Iowa State at this number. I do agree with you that it gets to the point where some people just look at those stats on the underdog coaches and they see that Campbell's 26-12 ATS as a dog of 3 points or more, and then the line is shaded in that favor pretty significantly to where that value's gone. So at some point when the narrative becomes so big that somebody's really good at something or another, it moves the price to where you can't bet it anymore. So I think that's also the importance of doing power ratings. I had this game at 9.5. I'm going to lean to the under in this game. If you can get a total 62-63 here, I'll lean to the under. I think that Iowa State will look to try to slow this game down. Oklahoma should be better on defense than they've been in the past. And like you said, Kansas State had 10 first downs last week, so it wasn't quite as bad for Oklahoma's defense as it looked. The offense put them in some really bad spots.
We'll have some more highlight game breakdowns on Thursday with Brad Powers, but make sure you subscribe here to our ATS YouTube channel, and also make sure you subscribe to get ATS.io radio wherever you stream and download your podcast content.